Most people set big goals and fall short. But what if we could build your dream project one small habit at a time? This video will change the way you think about your creative goals, and it will help you create more with less pressure. And who doesn't want that, you know? Let's face the facts. We live in a goal-oriented society. If we're not moving towards something, driving towards something, we're seen as useless, we're seen as lazy, we're not seen as valuable. So all of us have goals. From a child asks, what goals do you have? What jobs do you want to do? But all these goals creates intense pressure to achieve them, to succeed, to not fall short. And that pressure is clouding your creativity. How do I know? Because it was clouding mine too. Goals are distant, perfectionist, and often tied to capitalist metrics of success. And we want to make money from our art, but we do not want capitalism to running the way we make our art, okay? Goals try to drag you kicking and screaming into the future, but habits meet you where you are right now. Isn't that so beautiful? The first step in shifting from goals to habits is by changing the way you think of yourself, okay? Instead of saying, I want to write an Oscar winning film, why don't you say, I'm someone who writes every day? Because I promise you, Oscar winning filmmakers, writers, they write frequently, habitually, okay? Instead of saying, I want to win a Pulitzer for my novel, why don't you say, I want to have a habit of writing 600 words a day? I'm someone who writes 2 pages a day, okay? When you shift to an identity-based mindset, you are no longer focused on the goal at hand. You're focused on the kind of person you need to be to achieve that goal. And that simple shift makes all the difference, I promise you. And I would know. I have big dreams, okay? I'm going EGOT. Okay, I want a Pulitzer, I want Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, I want everything. But some days I just felt so much intense and immense pressure to achieve, to make everything work, that I didn't know where to start, I didn't know what to do. And I often suffer from a lot of burnout. I shifted who I am in my head. I said, I am someone who does something daily. I'm someone who creates art habitually because I know that that mindset will get me to where I want to be in the future. Okay? And I come to my work not scared, not fearful that my work isn't enough, but excited to be showing up for myself, to be showing up for the world, and to be making art that touches me, and I hope it will touch you too. Another issue with goals is that goals are temporary. Let's say you have a goal of running a marathon. So many people work hard, run that marathon, and then their physical health declines afterwards. They stop running. Why? Because their running was tied to the marathon. If instead you say, my goal is to run a marathon, therefore I'm a person who runs a couple miles a day, even after the marathon ends, you will still be running because you have changed who you are. You changed the way you think of yourself. And now, not only will you be able to run a marathon, but you'll be able to go on to more physically adventurous things because your running isn't tied to the marathon, it's tied to your sense of self. Okay? And it's not tied to something specific finite point, but it's tied to the way you live your life. And that gives you so much more grace, okay? The third and final reason why we need to switch from goals to habits is that goals are often out of our control. You want to win an Oscar. You are not in control of the Oscar voting party, okay? You want a promotion. You are not in control of that. A lot of times we set goals that are not within our grasp. And then when we fail to meet them, we punish ourselves. We think we failed. We look down on ourselves. And that's not something we should do. And your body, your brain remembers that. And then it becomes hesitant to set goals in the future, right? Whereas when you switch to a habit, what you're telling yourself is, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because this is the kind of person that I am. I'm doing this because these are the activities that I value. And this is how I want to enrich my life, right? When you have goals, so often you attach to the outcome, okay? And if spirituality has taught me anything, is we need to detach, okay? We can have a North Star, we can move towards things, we can want things, but we need to be detached from how they happen, when they happen, and the way they happen, right? So when you have habits, you have detachment. You say, I'm writing because I love to write, not because I want this thing. If you don't get that thing, you might not write anymore. You don't want that because you are bigger than one story and you have more stories to tell, okay? You run a marathon, you stop running. What about other marathons? What about a Tough Mudder? What about a triathlon? Like, there's so much more we can accomplish. And we can accomplish those things through habits, right? We can accomplish those things by changing our mindset, right? And I think this is really, really important. I want you to think of your dream project, right? What beautiful mark do you want to leave in the world? What do you want to create? What do you want to do for yourself, right? Now ask yourself, what are the habits you need to do to make that a reality? Ask yourself, what kind of person do I need to become to make that a reality, right? And then you start taking those steps. You start doing those things. Now, let me know in the comments what your dream project is and the kind of habits you're taking to get there.